Hello, and welcome back. Wherever you are right now, in your bed, beneath soft blankets, with the lights low and the world quiet, I'm glad you found your way here. Tonight, we are going somewhere ancient. Somewhere vast and golden and full of wonder. We are going to the land of gods. Not distant gods, hidden behind clouds or locked away in some unreachable heaven, but gods who walked among the living. Gods who had names and faces and stories. Gods who laughed and wept and argued with one another. Gods who shaped the sky, the earth, the river, and the human heart. Tonight, we drift into the mythology of ancient Egypt. This is one of the oldest collections of stories ever told. Older than the Bible. Older than Greek mythology as most people know it. These are tales that were whispered in temples lit by oil lamps, carved into stone by priests with steady hands, and buried in tombs to guide the dead through the darkness. So let your body soften now. Let your shoulders drop. Let your breath slow. There is nothing you need to do. Nowhere you need to be. Just listen. Just drift. And let the gods of Egypt come to you, one story at a time, in the long, slow silence of the night. Part 1. The World Before the World. Before there were gods, there was nothing. Or rather, there was something, but that something had no shape, no light, no name. The ancient Egyptians called it none. The primordial waters. A vast, dark, limitless ocean that existed before time began. Not a sea you could swim in. Not water you could drink. But a kind of formless potential, endless and still, without edges or bottom or shore. Picture it now, as you close your eyes. A darkness so complete it has no shadow. A silence so deep it has no echo. An ocean so still it has no ripple. This was the beginning. And then, from the center of this darkness, something stirred. A thought. A breath. An intention. The Egyptians told different stories about what happened next, and that is one of the beautiful things about Egyptian mythology. There was never just one version of the truth. There were many. Each city, each temple, each is often shown lying on his back, one knee raised, his body green like growing things, like the fertile land along the Nile. He was the floor of the world, solid and ancient, and from his body came everything that grew, grain and flower and tree. Nut was the goddess of the sky. She is one of the most striking images in all of Egyptian art. She is shown as a woman whose body arches over the earth, her hands and feet touching the ground on either side, her belly the vast dome of the heavens. The stars were her children, or in some versions, they were the decorations on her dress, each one a jewel sewn into the fabric of the night. Geb and Nut loved each other with a love that was total and complete. They lay together in a long embrace, earth and sky touching, and between them there was no space, no air, no room for anything else. And so their father, Shu, the god of air, was sent to separate them. He lifted Nut above the earth. He pressed down on Geb below. He stood between them, arms raised, and held the sky above the world. And that is the image you will find in temple after temple across ancient Egypt, Shu, standing in the middle, holding Nut's body high above the green form of Geb. But Nut was not separated from her beloved without cost. Before the separation, Nut had already become pregnant. And the god Ra, or in some versions, the god Thoth, declared that Nut could not give birth on any day of the year. There were 360 days in the original Egyptian calendar. But Thoth, clever and patient, played a game of Senet, a board game, against the moon. And he won. And from his winnings, he gathered enough moonlight to create 5 new days. Days that existed outside the regular year, neither here nor there, belonging to no month and no season. On those 5 days, Nut gave birth. On the first day, Osiris. On the second day, Horus the Elder. On the third day, Set. On the fourth day, Isis. On the fifth day, Nephthys. 5 gods born from the sky in 5 stolen days. And with their birth, the great story of Egypt truly begins. Part 4, Osiris, the Good King. Of all the gods of Egypt, perhaps none is more beloved than Osiris. He was the firstborn child of Geb and Nut, the firstborn of earth and sky. And when he came into the world, he was given the greatest gift a god could receive, the gift of kingship. Osiris became the ruler of the world. And he was good. He taught humanity how to farm. He showed them how to plant grain and harvest it, how to reap. He wanted what Osiris had. He wanted the throne. So Set made a plan. He built a beautiful chest, a coffin, though no one knew that yet, carved and painted and perfectly fitted to the body of Osiris. He brought it to a feast and announced a game, whoever could fit perfectly inside the chest could keep it. Many gods and men tried and failed. The chest was too big, or too small, or didn't quite fit. And then Osiris lay down inside it. And it fit perfectly. Because Set had built it that way. Before Osiris could rise, Set sealed the chest and threw it into the Nile. The great king. The good king. Gone. And the world grew darker for it. Part 5, Isis, the great seeker. Isis wept. Her grief was immense, a grief that shook the stars and stilled the Nile. She was a goddess of immense power, perhaps the most powerful of all the Egyptian gods. She knew magic of a depth and complexity that no other being could match. But even her power could not undo what Set had done. So she searched. She wandered the whole world, asking the reeds at the river's edge, asking the fish in the deep water, asking the wind that came off the desert, asking children playing near the water's edge, because the Egyptians believed that children, unclouded by the worries of adults, could sometimes hear the truth of things. And eventually, she found the chest. It had floated down the Nile and across the sea and come to rest in a land called Byblos, a real city, in what is now Lebanon. A great tamarisk tree had grown around the chest, enclosing it completely within its trunk, keeping it safe inside the wood. The king of Byblos had cut down the tree to use as a pillar in his palace, not knowing what was inside. Isis disguised herself as an ordinary woman and came to the palace. She made friends with the queen's servants, braided their hair, breathed perfume from her body that filled the halls of the palace with a divine scent. And eventually, she won the trust of the royal family. She revealed herself. She asked for the pillar. And they gave it to her. She opened the wood and held her husband in her arms and wept. Her tears fell on his still face in the dark. She carried him back to Egypt, hidden in the marshes of the Nile Delta, and there she used her great magic. She spread her wings, for Isis could take the form of a kite, a bird of prey, and she fanned the breath of life back into the body of Osiris. Just long enough. Just enough for one last night together. And from that night, a child was conceived. His name would be Horus. But Set was not done. He found the body of Osiris hidden in the marshes. In his rage, he tore it into pieces, 14 pieces, some say, scattered across the whole of Egypt. And that seemed like the end. But Isis searched again. She gathered every piece of her husband and brought them back together, wrapping them in linen, sealing them with prayers and oils and the power of her love. She reassembled him. She spoke the words that made him whole. Osiris became the first mummy. And he became something more, the king of the dead. He descended to the underworld and became its ruler, its judge, its light in the darkness. He did not die. He was transformed. And in his transformation, he gave all Egyptians hope, because if Osiris could be reborn, then perhaps they could be too. The Egyptians called this hope the resurrection. And it was the center of everything they believed. Part 6, Horus, the Falcon God. Isis hid her son Horus in the reed marshes of the Nile Delta, where Set could not find him. She nursed him and taught him and kept him safe, protected by spells and by her own fierce love. Horus grew. He had the head of a falcon, with eyes that could see across impossible distances. His right eye was the sun. His left eye was the moon. When he flew across the sky, his wings were the heavens themselves and the wind beneath them was his breath. He was young, and fierce, and bright. And when he came of age, he demanded his father's throne. What followed was not a quick battle. It was a long, strange, complicated struggle, the most famous conflict in all of Egyptian mythology. Set and Horus fought in many ways. Sometimes in physical battle. Sometimes in magical contests before the council of the gods. Set put out one of Horus's eyes, the left eye, the moon. For a time, the sky was dark. But the god Thoth, wise and skilled in all healing arts, restored the eye. He made it whole again. And that restored eye became one of the most sacred symbols in all of Egyptian mythology. The eye of Horus. The Wadjet. The symbol of wholeness, of healing, protection, and power restored. The ancient Egyptians used it in medicine and in magic. They painted it on the sides of ships so the boat could see where it was going. They placed it in tombs to protect the dead. They wore it as an amulet against illness and bad fortune. The eye that was wounded. The eye that was healed. And in the end, after all the Ra was the sun. Not a symbol of the sun itself, in divine form. Each morning he rose in the east in the form of a scarab beetle, young and golden, rolling the disk of the sun up over the horizon. By midday he was at his most powerful, an eagle soaring at the peak of the sky, his light pouring down on everything below. And by evening, as the sun set in the west, he became an old man, bent with the weight of the day, sinking slowly below the horizon. But the journey was not over. The night was not rest for Ra. Each night, Ra descended into the underworld, the Duat, and traveled through 12 hours of darkness, 12 gates, 12 chambers of shadow and mystery. The dead lived there, in the golden halls of Osiris. And as Ra's boat sailed through the dark, the dead were lit for a brief, beautiful moment by his passing light. But there were dangers. Each night, in the deepest part of the underworld, a great serpent waited. His name was Apophis. He was enormous, vast beyond imagining, coiled in the dark, always hungry. He was the embodiment of chaos, the anti-creation, the force that wanted to swallow the sun and end the world. Every single night, Ra had to pass Apophis. And every single night, the battle was the same. The gods on Ra's boat, among them, Set, who despite his chaos was still a protector against greater chaos, fought the serpent. Set would take up his spear. The other gods would cry their battle cries. And together, they would drive Apophis back. And Ra would emerge at dawn. Every morning, the sun rising was a victory. Every morning, the light returning meant that Ra had fought through the darkness one more time. The Egyptians greeted the sunrise with hymns and offerings, because they understood, or felt deeply, that nothing could be taken for granted. The sun did not rise automatically. It was fought for. Every day. And in understanding that, they found a kind of reverence for the light that most of us have lost. Part 8, Thoth, the Keeper of Wisdom. In the quiet spaces between the great dramas of Egyptian mythology, there was always Thoth. He was the god of writing, of wisdom, of the moon, of measurement and mathematics, of the balance between things. He had the head of an ibis, that elegant, curved-beaked bird that stalked the edges of rivers and marshes, and he carried a reed pen and a scroll, always ready to write down what needed to be remembered. Some said Thoth invented writing. Others said he invented time. Others said he invented the very laws that governed the universe, the rules by which things worked, the logic behind the mystery. He was the one who intervened in the battle between Horus and Set. Not as a fighter, but as a mediator, judge, a voice of calm reason when the passions of the other gods ran too hot. He was the one who healed the eye of Horus. He was the one who devised the 5 extra days so that Nut could give birth. Thoth was always solving the unsolvable. Always finding the elegant way through. He is shown in many different images across the thousands of years of Egyptian history, sometimes with a baboon's head instead of an ibis, because baboons were sacred to him, seen by the Egyptians as wise, watchful creatures who greeted the rising sun with their cries. In the Hall of Judgment, when the dead came before Osiris and their hearts were weighed on the great scales, it was Thoth who stood to the side with his pen poised. It was Thoth who wrote down the verdict. He wrote the fate of every soul in his eternal scroll. He was neutral. He was accurate. He never lied and he never flinched. To the ancient Egyptians, scribes were among the most respected members of society, because to write was to be like Thoth. To hold a pen was to hold a piece of the divine. And every word carefully written down was an act of remembrance, a way of saying, this happened. This was real. This Isis and magic. We have met Isis already, the searching, grieving, powerful wife of Osiris, the mother of Horus. But she deserves her own time, her own quiet chapter, because she was perhaps the most beloved goddess in all of Egyptian history. And not just Egyptian history. Her worship spread eventually to Greece, to Rome, across the Mediterranean world. She was still being worshipped in secret in the 5th century after the Common Era, long after most of the old gods had faded. Something in her refused to be forgotten. Why? Because she was a goddess of the real things. Not of distant celestial forces, but of love and grief and motherhood and healing and the hard, daily work of keeping someone alive. She was a goddess of hospitals and midwives and desperate prayers whispered in the dark when someone you love is sick and you don't know if they will get better. She was the goddess you called on when you had no one else. Her magic was legendary. The ancient texts say that Isis knew 1,000,000 spells and that she used them without hesitation in the service of those she loved. She could heal the sick. She could restore the dead. She could transform herself into any creature she wished. There is a famous story in which she tricked Ra himself. Ra was old, not yet willing to admit it, but ancient, and with his age had come a kind of weakness. His saliva dripped sometimes as he walked, and it fell to the earth. Isis collected it. She mixed it with the soil of the earth and shaped it into a serpent, a magical serpent made from the very substance of the sun god himself. And she let the serpent bite Ra. The poison spread through him and Ra writhed in agony. He called for help. Every healer in the heavens came and could do nothing. And then Isis came. She said, I can heal you. But first you must tell me your true name. The true name of Ra. His secret name, the hidden name that contained his ultimate essence and power. Every Egyptian god and every Egyptian person had two names, the name everyone used, and the secret name, the real name, the name that gave power over the one who possessed it. Ra's true name was so powerful it could not be spoken aloud. He resisted. He gave her other names, his titles, his epithets. But the poison grew worse. And finally he whispered his true name into her ear. She healed him. She was the only one who could. And in doing so, she gained a power over the sun itself. That is Isis. Compassionate. Fierce. Patient beyond measure. And always, always smarter than the room. Part 10, Anubis, the guardian of the dead. When you died in ancient Egypt, the first face you saw was Anubis. He was the god of embalming, the necropolis, of the long slow journey from death toward judgment. He had the head of a jackal, a slim, pointed-eared dog-like animal that was commonly seen around the edges of desert cemeteries, slipping through the shadows between the worlds. The Egyptians did not recoil from this image. They found it comforting. Anubis did not cause death. He simply attended it. He was there in the embalming tent, guiding the hands of the priests. He was there in the weighing of the heart, steadying the scales with absolute precision. He was there at the gates between worlds, recognizing those who deserve to pass through. He is one of the oldest gods in the Egyptian pantheon. In the earliest texts, before Osiris took over the role, it was Anubis who was Lord of the Dead. And even as Osiris rose to that position, Anubis remained, serving now as the guardian and guide rather than the king. He is depicted in black, not the black of death or darkness, but the black of fertile silt, the Nile mud that brought life, of rebirth from the earth. His color meant transformation, regeneration, the promise that what seemed like an ending was really a beginning. There is something deeply gentle about Anubis. For all his association with death, he is described in the texts as careful, attentive, precise. He guided each soul individually. He knew every name. He took nothing carelessly. In some versions of the mythology, it was Anubis who helped Isis reassemble the body of Osiris. He who wrapped the bandages. He who first created the sacred art of mummification. He who gave the dead their form back, made them whole again, prepared them for the journey ahead. He is the god of careful hands, of preparation, of the patience required to wrap something fragile in enough protection to last forever. Part 11, Thoth, the goddess of joy. After so many stories of death and judgment and the long darkness of the underworld, let us come for a moment into the light. Into music. Into gold. People were born. They lived. They died. And if their hearts were light, they were reborn into paradise, a place the Egyptians called the Field of Reeds. Not so different from Egypt itself, green fields, the sound of water, family members waiting, good food and music and rest. Not an alien heaven. Just home. But better. Without the fear, without the illness, without the uncertainty. Just the best version of what you already knew. This was the dream that the Egyptians placed in every tomb, wrapped in every bandage, carved into every wall. This was the hope they sent into the darkness with their dead. That the light comes back. That what is loved is not lost. That even the longest night ends with a sunrise. O-U-T-R-O. And so we come gently to the end of our journey. From the dark waters of Nun, where there was nothing and then there was a lotus and then there was light. Through the great dramas of Osiris and Isis, Set and Horus, Ra and Apophis. Through the wisdom of Thoth and the justice of Ma'at, the fierce love of Isis, the gentle precision of Anubis, the joy of Thoth, and the wild, necessary chaos of Set. Through the hall of judgment and the weight of a heart, and the lightest feather in the world. These stories are old. So old that when they were first being carved into temple walls, other civilizations had not yet begun. And yet something in them feels close. Feels human. Because they are about the things that have always mattered. How the world began. Why we suffer. How love survives loss. What we owe to each other. What happens when the light goes out. Whether it comes back. These were not primitive questions. They were the deepest questions there are. And the people of ancient Egypt answered them with extraordinary beauty, extraordinary imagination, and an extraordinary faith that the universe was not indifferent. That it was, in fact, full of presence. Full of gods who cared. Who searched for the lost. Who healed the wounded eye. Who wrote down every name so that no one would be forgotten. And now, as these stories drift softly into the background of your sleep, I hope you carry some small piece of that faith with you. Into the quiet dark. Into your own field of reeds. Into whatever you dream tonight. The lotus is still rising. The sun is still returning. You are held. Sleep well. We have met Isis already, the searching, grieving, powerful wife of Osiris, the mother of Horus. But she deserves her own time, her own quiet chapter, because she was perhaps the most beloved goddess in all of Egyptian history. And not just Egyptian history. Her worship spread eventually to Greece, to Rome, across the Mediterranean world. She was still being worshipped in secret in the 5th century after the Common Era, long after most of the old gods had faded. Something in her refused to be forgotten. Why? Because she was a goddess of the real things. Not of distant celestial forces, but of love and grief and motherhood and healing and the hard, daily work of keeping someone alive. She was a goddess of hospitals and midwives and desperate prayers whispered in the dark when someone you love is sick and you don't know if they will get better. She was the goddess you called on when you had no one else. Her magic was legendary. The ancient texts say that Isis knew 1,000,000 spells and that she used them without hesitation in the service of those she loved. She could heal the sick. She could restore the dead. She could transform herself into any creature she wished. There is a famous story in which she tricked Ra himself. Ra was old, not yet willing to admit it, but ancient, and with his age had come a kind of weakness. His saliva dripped sometimes as he walked, and it fell to the earth. Isis collected it. She mixed it with the soil of the earth and shaped it into a serpent, a magical serpent made from the very substance of the sun god himself. And she let the serpent bite Ra. The poison spread through him and Ra writhed in agony. He called for help. Every healer in the heavens came and could do nothing. And then Isis came. She said, I can heal you. But first you must tell me your true name. The true name of Ra. His secret name, the hidden name that contained his ultimate essence and power. Every Egyptian god and every Egyptian person had two names, the name everyone used, and the secret name, the real name, the name that gave power over the one who possessed it. Ra's true name was so powerful it could not be spoken aloud. He resisted. He gave her other names, his titles, his epithets. But the poison grew worse. And finally he whispered his true name into her ear. She healed him. She was the only one who could. And in doing so, she gained a power over the sun itself. That is Isis. Compassionate. Fierce. Patient beyond measure. And always, always smarter than the root. Part 10, Anubis, the guardian of the dead. When you died in ancient Egypt, the first face you saw was Anubis. He was the god of embalming, of the necropolis, of the long slow journey from death toward judgment. He had the head of a jackal, a slim, pointed-eared dog-like animal that was commonly seen around the edges of desert cemeteries, slipping through the shadows between the worlds. The Egyptians did not recoil from this image. They found it comforting. Anubis did not cause death. He simply attended it. He was there in the embalming tent, guiding the hands of the priests. He was there in the weighing of the heart, steadying the scales with absolute precision. He was there at the gates between worlds, recognizing those who deserve to pass through. He is one of the oldest gods in the Egyptian pantheon. In the earliest texts, before Osiris took over the role, it was Anubis who was Lord of the Dead. And even as Osiris rose to that position, Anubis remained, serving now as the guardian and guide rather than the king. He is depicted in black, not the black of death or darkness, but the black of fertile silt, the Nile mud that brought life, of rebirth from the earth. His color meant transformation, regeneration, the promise that what seemed like an ending was really a beginning. There is something deeply gentle about Anubis. For all his association with death, he is described in the texts as careful, attentive, precise. He guided each soul individually. He knew every name. He took nothing carelessly. In some versions of the mythology, it was Anubis who helped Isis reassemble the body of Osiris. He who wrapped the bandages. He who first created the sacred art of mummification. He who gave the dead their form back, made them whole again, prepared them for the journey ahead. He is the god of careful hands, of preparation, of the patience required to wrap something fragile in enough protection to last forever. Part 11, Thoth, the goddess of joy. After so many stories of death and judgment and the long darkness of the underworld, let us come for a moment into the light. Into music. Into gold. Into Thoth. She was the goddess of love, of music, of dance, of beauty, of joy.